Okay, let's begin with one of the first documents that you should go through, and it is called the Summary of the Real Estate Transaction. So again, the residence is at Parkway, condominium, there we go, rental. Oh, rental and management agreement will also be part of this document. Okay, so let's talk about the project here. As mentioned, the project consists of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom condominium units that will be sold based on the merits of a real estate investment. The pre-construction price for these units will vary between $149,000 to $234,900 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. The project is developed in phases, so we'll basically have 7 phases, and we expect that every phases will go up by approximately $3,000. Each unit will be furnished and will be available for rent. And when I say furnished, I'm talking 5 appliances, full kitchen, full bed, full family, not family room, but a family room, if you could call it that way, a TV, stereo, microwave, a coffee maker, cutlery, pots and pans. So these units will be rented on a medium and long-term leases for workers that are coming in the area. And actually, the good thing is that these guys pay very, very good money to have a 1-bedroom. So for them, it's cheaper to live in our condominiums than to go into a hotel. Now, one of the things that's important to say also is that this investment should be looked at as a 5-year investment. If you're looking to buy this and flip it quickly, this is not the right investment. We look for a medium-term return of basically 5 years. Each phase is sold as a condominium plan, and the owner will have full ownership of the unit. What we mean by this is that you are not buying into a limited partnership. You're not buying shares of a company. You will be transferred a unit. You'll have a physical ownership of that unit. So this is in a nutshell the project. You'll see some photos of the master plan and everything in other documentation, but this is just to explain to you what these documents are all about. So let's move on. Okay, well, the investment. We're confident enough about this project that we've arranged construction financing and takeout financing with a major financial institution at a rate that will not exceed 6.5. What we know is that in a construction cycle, delivery of those units may be spring and even early summer 2016, and if the rate would go up, we will take care of the difference between 6.5 to whatever the interest rate will be at that time. So the investor will not be charged more than 6.5% for his mortgage. And if we obtain at closing, at transfer, rates that are better than that, this is what the investor will be paying. Okay? You will assume this mortgage at closing. Closing is basically the effective date. It is the date at which the condominium corporation is registered and the lender is satisfied that the unit is completed. What we're doing here is that we want to make sure that the first mortgage and our second mortgage will be equivalent to 70% of the purchase price. So Bridgeport Holdings LLC will actually hold a second mortgage on your property at a rate of 7.5% per year, equal monthly payment of principal and interest, amortized over 25 years with a term of 5 years. So what we want to make sure is that you put the least amount of money possible for a U.S. investment. And in this case, it is basically 30%. So this is not a no money down, except if you were to finance your down payment through your Canadian bank system or even your own personal cash. Okay. So 30% down, 60% first mortgage, 10% VTB by Bridgeport Holding. Closing is scheduled for July 1st, 2016 for the first building, or earlier if possible. And each unit will be held by the investor's corporate structure. This is if you decide so. You will have the choice to go through us to actually get your own corporation, or to get the corporation set up that we're offering our investors, or you will use your own corporation that you may have, or you may decide to put under your own name. We are giving you the option, the opportunity to actually put that property into a U.S. liability corporation, so it's going to be a Louisiana LLC, Limited Liability Corp, that would be owned by your Canadian numbered corporation. So that actually you could flow through that money to Canada and pay the least amount of taxes possible. You will also have the sole control of that corporation. We are not implicated. We're not with you on this corporation. It is 100% owned by you. Decision, board of directors, voting rights, all of that will be put in place, and it will be you will be the sole owner of the shares of your limited liability corporation. And again, it's not a limited partnership. Basically, the same thing applies for the overseas investors. So what we'll do is we will transfer the unit into your US LLC, which you will control via an entity in the investor's domicile of choice. So you're allowed to actually choose where and who do you want, who owns that corporation as a second level. The cost of incorporation, the cost of incorporating the US LLC and the Canadian LLC will be, Canadian corporation, will be billed back to the investor. What we mean by this is that there is a fee to incorporate in Canada, there's a fee to register a company in the United States. All those costs will be transferred back to you at closing. And what we've done is, in order to ensure that you are not put at risk there, we've maximized the amount. We said, listen, we'll take care of any expense above $3,500. So $3,500 is what you should expect for your two corporations, the Canadian Corp and the US LLC. Now let's talk about the investment. Well, when we will transfer the property to you, effectively there's some legal cost to it. So you will be responsible for your legal fees, title change and everything, and that will again be billed to you by the acting lawyer on your behalf. Okay, so we know that you're buying a property, you're going to get a first mortgage of basically 60%, second mortgage by us 10%, and you'll put 30% down. You will own the property outright, so you are the owner of this property. And you are, meaning that your US LLC owns the property, and this LLC is controlled by a Canadian corporation. So now, as with anything in life, there's some risk. And what Bridgeport has decided to do is we want to limit your risk, basically. And we've decided to basically sign a lease with the investor on a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom, and pay you, as you see here, $19,008 per year, and it will increase over a period of 5 years to a total of $102,015. Okay, so as an owner of a 1-bedroom, this is what you could expect in rent. So that technically, that means that you have no vacancy. We're confident enough that the market will take on all of our units and will be full, that we're willing basically to sign the lease with you and say, listen, we'll take care of it. Same thing applies to a 2-bedroom. The amount is $24,006, or over 5 years, $126,745 with the increase that we've calculated. 3-bedroom, $30,006, and basically $157,659 over that period of 5 years. So we're going to collect the rent. We're going to take the expenses. We're going to pay the mortgages, and we will actually deposit in your bank account, in a US bank account, on the 15th of the month, your net rental income. As simple as that. It will be deposited electronically into your US bank account in US dollars. So now we know we're going to have rent. We know that it's going to be basically based on the rental agreement that you have. Now the next biggest expense and the next biggest challenge that developers have, or owners or investors have in any new condominium corporation, is what about the condominium fees? What if the condo fees go up like skyrocket on this? Well, we did exactly the same thing. What we're doing is we are basically guaranteeing, or we're saying, hey, if the condo fees on a 1-bedroom, 1-bath unit goes above $2,900 a year, will pay the difference. On a 2-bedroom, $3,600 a year will pay the difference, and on a 3, it's $4,800 a year. So regardless of condo fees, which is a big chunk in investments in real estate, you've got the condo fees that are sort of capped up. You know what rental income you're going to have, so the only variable really is management and repairs and maintenance, and these are brand new units. So we sort of know that you will have the cash flow that we're doing in our projection, and we'll go through that in the financial projections. Well, we also have an amazing program. We said that, you know what, if investors are buying 4 units, you will actually get the equity on the 5th property. So basically, at the end of your 5-year term, if you bought 4 units, and it will be contracted, you'll see how we do it. It will be contracted. We will transfer you a 1-bedroom, 1-bath for every 4 unit that you decide to buy. And that will be done on the first day of the 6th year. Okay? Now, one of the things that we want out of this is that we naturally want you to reimburse us the mortgages that we have on all 4 units. Okay? So now you need to refund the mortgages that you have, and we'll refinance and we'll get that money at that time. But we want to be paid out our second mortgages. Now the unit that you will be transferred will only have a first mortgage. So the day that you buy it, you get the equity of a property that you've owned basically for 5 years, and you did not put any deposit on it. By the way, you will have the right to repay your second mortgage at any time and then trigger the buy 4 get 1 program. So basically in 3 years from now, if you decide that you come into the cash and you want to repay your second mortgage, there's no problem. You just repay it, and then we'll transfer that 5th unit to you. Okay. You'll assume the first mortgage of the unit that's in place. Equity is automatically being transferred to you, so there's no deposit to be put on. You'll be responsible for land transfer costs naturally. And we're sort of limiting this offer because we don't have that many 1-bedroom. So investors will be limited to a maximum of 12 units from Bridgeport. That means that you would have actually bought 48 units plus 12 will give you 60 units in the building. And imagine your cash flow at that time when you say, I don't even have any deposits on this property and the mortgage has been paid for the last 5 years. Okay, so that's the buy basically 4 and get 1 more unit program. Okay, we go into operations. Bridgeport Management LLC will act as the property management company on both the rental aspect of the transaction and the condominium corporation. So what we've done is we will be the property management company. As some of you might know, I've had my own property management companies for years, and I well know how to manage company because of the syndication I've made and so on. And the management fee will be set to 6% of the gross rental income. And that will, by the way, that will not increase. It's for 5 years. And the condominium fee management will be $75 per door per month on every condo unit. Now, just to give you a comparable out here, short-term rental, so month by month, a 6-month rental is normally a 10% fee. And condominium fees normally will vary between $100 to $175 to $200 a month based on the type of condominium corporation that you are operating. But because we are the developers, because we're there already, because we're already managing, and also we will own some of these units, we decided to give a break to the investor, the owner, to make sure that you are protected and you're getting the maximum out of it. Material contracts. There are many agreements that need to be signed, and we're going to go through each and every one of them to give you a better understanding of it. Okay, so let me just go here because this is important. Unit purchase agreement. The unit purchase agreement sets out the terms and conditions for the purchase of the unit and your obligations towards Bridgeport Development as the vendor. Okay, each unit will choose its unit on a first come first serve basis. Closing date, we talked about it already, at the effective date or when the condo corporation comes in place. Now, what's important here is one thing. The day that we receive your deposit, your full deposit, we will actually sign a land transfer and a trust agreement that we will give. You will receive copies of both these documents, but the lawyer, which is Robichaud, Mize, Wadzak, and Richardson, will actually receive from us a registrable land transfer, which means that technically, at any time, they could register the transfer of the property in your name or in your LLC name with a trust agreement that basically says upon being paid in full what we are owed, which I mean your deposits, and assuming the mortgage, we will transfer this property to you. So basically, we don't want to leave you in the dark for 6, 7, and 8 months saying, well, are they going to transfer this and that? No, no. The lawyer will have in trust a signed registrable transfer of land, which we will send you a copy, and the trust agreement that relates to that. Okay, that is important. Now, let's go to this one here. If you were to cancel the transaction for whatever reason during your 10-day recession period, you will be refunded in full whatever deposit that you have paid with no interest, no penalty, nothing. Okay, so all money will be forthwith returned to you should you decide to cancel. And this is this little agreement. The unit agreement provides that it and all related agreements will not be binding if written notice is received by the vendor within 10 days of signing these agreements. So what will happen in the next little while is that you will sign your offer to purchase and all your documents. You will give us your deposit check. The deposit check will actually not even be cashed. We will not cash your deposit on the property until that 10 days has passed. Why? Because it is not worth our while to start cashing a deposit to put you in a bind for a deposit while you still have the option to cancel. And for us, it's more work actually. It's easier just to cancel a transaction, to mail you back their check, or to just rip it up and show you that it's been ripped up, than to deposit into our account, wait 10 days, make sure it clears, have a check prepared, sign it, and mail it. So your check will not be cashed until the 10-day recession period is passed. Now let's go to material contracts. So mortgages. So let's recap this. Mortgage will be arranged by us in the principal amount per the unit referred under financial details. So there is a section, there is a sheet based on every unit in the financial projection that will give you all of the information, the first, second mortgage, the rental agreement that you have, your maximum condo fees, your projected net cash flow and everything. You'll see that in the financial projection, and we will go through this. The mortgage will be a 5-year term at 6.5% per annum, compounded semi-annually, and blended payments of principal and interest, not in advance, of no less than 25 years. The mortgage will be collaterally secured by an assignment of rent and leases in respect of the unit. Okay, so the lender is requesting on all of these units that they be paid directly by us. They don't want the check to go from our company to you in Canada, then cashed in and then rechange. We will be paying the check on a monthly basis to the mortgage company. You also may know or may not know that in any condominium corporation, the mortgagee has the right to vote on your behalf at any condominium corporation meeting. So they're entitled to exercise their purchaser's right, your purchaser's right, according to the condo corporation bylaws. And we will arrange all documentation for financing via the power of attorney that you actually give us in the document. So we will be signing all those documents on your behalf to get it going, so you don't have to show up in actually Lake Charles in Louisiana to sign those documents. One other thing also, this is important. Sale of the unit during the term of the mortgage may require the consent of the mortgagee. We're just telling you that actually, when a lender puts a mortgage on a property, he has a right to deny the sale because his mortgage is a closed mortgage. So, and they will be closed mortgage. So if there is a penalty to be paid, they might say, well, listen, we want 3-month interest only. We want this for the penalty. So a mortgagee has a right to not give you consent to sell. But how often have you seen that? We just wanted to point it out at this point. This clause here basically says that if you sell your property, the mortgagee has the right to call the mortgage, which is the same as anywhere else in any other property. But we just want to make sure that you know what you're getting into. So we're explaining all of these. And the next thing here is that we will make our best effort at the end of the 5-year term to arrange for new mortgage financing for the maximum amount pertaining to each unit to replace and pay out all mortgages. So we will be looking at at 4 year, 4.5 years for new mortgage financing, or maybe even earlier if possible, because if we could find a way to refinance your property after 3 years and get all your cash out or portion of your cash out, it may be worth your while and you might have the option to do so. So we will do everything in our power to refinance your property at the end of the 5 years so that it pays out all mortgages. And believe me, when you think about it, we will also have a second mortgage on this, and we would like to be paid. We want to be paid that second mortgage after the 5-year term. What this is telling you here about completion of transaction is that subject to your 10-day withdrawal period referred above, you will get beneficial ownership of the unit purchase on closing date as of the effective date. So all adjustment will be made on that day. You will own the property, taxes will be paid, insurance will be paid. That's our responsibility. You will own the property at that time. And naturally, what it means that also revenues relating to that property will also go to you from that day. Now, there's some covenants about the purchaser here. You're not allowed to register the unit agreement against the land. This is standard for developers. If owners were actually, they sign a contract and they register their offer to purchase on the property, on the whole property, we would technically not be able to put a construction loan on it. So you're not allowed to register this purchase agreement against the property. You're not allowed to assign, sell, or transfer the unit without obtaining from the assignee a covenant to be bound by the same agreement and conditions as the unit purchase agreement. So basically, you could assign your agreement, but the person that you are selling the unit to or signing the contract to must be bound by the same agreement or pay us in full. That's the easiest way to do it. The power of attorney is very simple. You actually grant the vendor a power of attorney to negotiate, execute, register the permitted encumbrances, conveying documentation and mortgage to be granted or assumed by the purchaser. So we will be acting on your behalf on all of these units in these transactions. So guess what? We will be busy at the lawyer's office. Well, termination. So you are allowed to terminate this agreement naturally if you give us within 10 days your notice that you no longer wish to pursue the transaction. So this is your recession period. If we're unable, okay, to obtain mortgage financing for your unit that you may not have been accepted or we don't accept to take back financing, this transaction will be canceled. So again, if you were to terminate this agreement for the two following A and B paragraphs, all monies will be forthwith returned to you by Bridgeport Holding without interest, deduction, or any deduction of any kind. I've talked already about the registrable transfer of land, and this is to protect you basically. It is a way for, as soon as we receive your deposit in full, we will sign a land transfer agreement and a registrable land transfer, and it will be given to our lawyer, and they will be ready technically to register the transfer under your name following the trust agreement. Now, the trust agreement is very simple. It is conditional naturally on you paying all the money that you owe us, so your full deposit, and all the monies and confirming, and we will confirm that all monies have been paid for. So this is basically what the registrable transfer of land and the trust agreement is all about. Let's talk about management, rental management, and lease agreement. So effectively, Bridgeport Management will be the property management company on site for all of the units. I've confirmed it earlier that our fees will be 6% of the gross rental income and $75 per month per unit to act as the rental manager of the condominium corporation. These fees are payable monthly and may only be collected by the rental manager after payment of mortgages, realty taxes, condominium fees, and insurance relating to the unit. So we're not paying us first. We're paying our management company after we've paid mortgages, taxes, condo fees, and insurance onto the unit. Another thing, what do we do? What will we be doing? So we'll collect the rent, we'll pay all the rental expense on your behalf, we'll arrange for re-rentals, we'll deal with the tenants, we'll hire maintenance and janitorial staff as may be necessary, and maintain rental and revenues record pertaining to the property. The rental manager will supervise and direct all repairs, replacement, which may be necessary with respect to the property. No work, repairs, or alteration will be done to any unit without the purchaser consent, where the estimated cost of such repair will exceed $3,000 for any single item unless work or repair or alteration is urgently required due to a failure and should cause basically a hazardous situation. So this is a standard management agreement. That means that we will not spend more than $3,000 on your unit, except if you give us the approval on it. Now, what you will see further is that we're actually pooling the revenues and we're pooling the expenses. So even a fridge and a stove, which will be brand new, were to go kabunk or were to go dead in your unit, you will be sharing amongst all the other units the expenses for it. So this again limits even more your liability. Reporting and remittance. So what will happen here is that once you close on a property, you will receive every 3 months your reports. So 90 days after December 31st in each year, you will receive your 3-month statement, and we will send all of this via electronic correspondence 15 days after the 30 days. So you're getting quarterly reports 15 days after the quarter, basically. Unfortunately, like anything in business, there is an indemnity clause where you basically make us non-responsible for what we do if it was done in good faith without negligence. So this is standard. You will receive your rental income as stipulated in the rental agreement, and you will generate no less than the amount under this contract, which I've already discussed with you guys. The pooling of the expense, well, one of the good things of what we're doing right now is we're pooling income and expenses. So it is to your benefit to actually average out the revenues and average out the expenses amongst every single owner out there. So regardless if first of all, if your unit is vacant, it doesn't matter because the rent, we are your tenant and we will pay our rent for a 5-year period. So you have no vacancy. And the expenses are pooled amongst everybody. So if one unit has a major repair 1 month, it doesn't matter to that owner. Everybody's paying for it, so that minimizes your risk basically on the property. And that's basically it for this section. And as you can notice, I have no more voice. This has been probably a 25 or 30-minute explanation of what we're doing here. But this is the summary of the real estate transaction. Talk to you soon on the next agreement, and I'll probably record that tomorrow. Thank you, everybody. Talk to you soon. Mark Mousseau signing off.